Hello there, I'm Viano and this is my 15th video tutorial on D3 where we'll be looking at how to create a tree layout in D3. Now I've tried recording this a couple of times and all the previous attempts have been too long, so I think I'm afraid I'll have to speed this up a bit more than I'd like to, but yeah, let's just dive right into it. So to create a tree layout, first of all, we need to actually create the layout itself. And just as with the pie layout, this layout is created by writing d3.layout, layout, and then the name of the layout, which is tree in this case. And all the layouts are both functions and objects at the same time, so there are a number of different methods that we can use to customize them and set the properties. And one of the methods that the tree layout comes with is size. So we'll just set the size right now, and you do that within parentheses and square brackets. So let's set it to 400 and 400. Yeah, and I prepared this canvas with a width and height of 500, and everything in it is stored in this in a G element. Right, so we have our tree layout created. What we need to do next is to load our data, which is stored in this mydata.json file. And I showed you how to do this previously, so I won't go into the details, but we'll use a callback function here to set the name of our data. I'll just call it data. And so we have our tree layout. Now we can make use of the methods that comes with it. And the first thing we need to do, or that we can do, is use the nodes method. What the nodes method does is it runs the tree layout and returns all the objects in our data right here. So each of these objects, and yeah, it returns an array of all those nodes, and each of those nodes will, I can show you real quick. If we console log nodes, save, refresh, and inspect console, we have this array of all the objects. And each object has a number of different properties. It has the children, all the children belonging to that node, all the parents, well, the parent, and also a depth property, and an X and Y property. And these are especially important because these store the coordinates that we'll use to place the nodes onto our document. So the next step would be to create the links, that is the path between each node that we took a look at in the previous video. And we'll reference our tree layout again, and this time use the links method. And the links method expects input in the form of well, nodes. So we'll just supply it with the nodes variable that we have stored here. And if we console log the links, you can see that it also returns an array of objects, but this time each object is has two properties, the source and the target property. And the source is the source node with these coordinates, so the coordinates of each node, and the target also contains well, the target node with its coordinates. So we'll use that later to connect our different nodes together. Let's remove this console log. So let's begin by adding a circle to each node. Well, first of all, we need to create a group element that holds the nodes together. So we'll do some basic data binding. We'll say var node and canvas select all, and we'll select everything that has the class of node, which is nothing, and bind that to our data stored in well, the data array here, and enter as usual, and we'll append a G element to each of those objects, and we'll give it a class of node. Okay, so now we're ready to append things to our nodes, to our G elements here. So we'll just do node append, and let's start with the circles, and let's give them a radius. So all circles will have a radius of 5, and also let's give them a nice color. Let's say steel blue, and save and refresh. And we haven't specified where the nodes should be placed. They have their X and Y properties, but those are just properties belonging to the object. We need to actually tell D3 to place them on the screen according to those properties, if that makes sense. And the way we do that is simply using a transform. So we'll say transform, and this will be a function this time, and we'll return a translate. And this is a bit messy, but the way we do this is so let's see, translate, and then we'll append the X and Y properties. So we'll say translate with the X and the comma there, and append the Y property, and let's see, was that right? I think so. Let's save and refresh. You can see that they are all placed out according to their X and Y properties that each object has. Okay, so the next thing we can do is append some text, the labels to each object or each node. So we'll just say node append text, and the text will be a function of our data, of course, and we'll return the name of each object. So if we refresh, we have our labels right there. Okay, so let's add the actual paths that connects all the nodes. We have to do some data binding again, and as I showed you before, all the paths are, well, the links between the nodes are stored in this links variable containing an array of objects with a source and target attribute. So we'll say canvas.select all, and we'll say select everything with a class of link, and the data this time comes from, well, the links variable, and enter and append a path just as we've done before, and let's give each path the class of link and some basic stylistic properties, a fill of none, let me scroll down here, and a stroke of, let's give it a light gray color, and we also need to supply it with the path data. So we'll create a diagonal path generator. We can just do it right here. So we'll say diagonal is equal to d3 dot svg dot diagonal, and let's save this and refresh. Nope. Let's see if we have some errors here. Okay, at line 50. Okay, so I spelled that wrong. Let's try again. Okay, so we have these nicer curvy lines between, well, connecting each node. Let's so its default layout or position or whatever you want to call it is the tree layout starts from the top and goes to the bottom, but let's say we wanted it to go from the left to the right. So we need to rotate both the nodes and the paths. So let's start with the nodes, and it's actually really simple to do this. You just have to switch, well, flip the X and Y coordinates. So if we move them around like that and save and refresh, you can see that they are shifted. And for the path, we need to use an accessor function to our path generator, the diagonal right here, and that one is called projection, and this simply converts the start and ending points of each object. So if we right now, if we don't so the default value would be return dx dy. This is the default setting of this of the projection. So if we refresh now, it won't it will have this position. But if we flip these around, as we did with the nodes, it will actually convert the start and ending points so that they match our rotated nodes. So yeah, obviously you can change. We would need to move these labels a bit to the right and a bit down the page to make it look better, but those are just stylistic details. But that's how you create a simple tree layout in D3. So I know this went a bit fast, but I would encourage you to, if you feel a bit confused, as is expected, just play around with this and listen to what I said in this video again, and console log the nodes and the links and take a look at what kind of information they contain, and also read the documentation, and it will become clear the more you experiment with it. So yeah, that's it for now. See you.